comments before we get into the depth of the meeting. Some of you may not really understand how these monthly meetings are pulled together, but we follow issues. And these issues take us into projects, and we try to understand the facts surrounding the projects, and then obviously disseminate this information to the delegates so that you can be educated, go back to your respective communities and educate them on whatever the project happens to be, but know the facts that are involved within the project. It takes a little bit of doing, very candidly. All of you delegates are terrific. We appreciate your promptness, getting in there to register right away, signing on right away. Haha, I'm only kidding. It's like chasing cats. We have to chase every one of you guys to make sure we get, the registrations right and so forth. And there's one person that does all of that. And I just wanted to acknowledge and share my appreciation. And I get lots of emails from all of you as well, too. But I wanted to take time out and thank Camille Palmero. She, she's our executive consultant. She does all this work in the background. Without her, I could never get it done. I don't even know how to register a link. I mean, she does it for us all. So I just wanted to acknowledge Camille's contribution to the team and thank her for what she does do. And like I say, many of you send me emails, or when I'm talking with you, take time out to acknowledge her support and her help as well. So it's very nice. Camille, we thank you very much, and we appreciate all that you do for us.
My pleasure. Thank you, Sal.
Let me share another perspective with you. If you haven't been on the NCNC PBC website recently, please do. It's up to date. We try to keep that thing on a monthly basis up to date. Once again, thanks to Camille working with GoDaddy. We have 22 member communities, and within West Palm Beach, there are only 3. In the county, there are 2, Calusa and Old Marsh. And then in Palm Beach Gardens, we have another 16 members. So we have 22 members altogether. 17 members from Palm Beach Garden when you add it all up. So once again, many of the projects that evolve over time, whether they're from the state involving FDOT projects, whether they're from the county involving county projects, many of them are road projects, whether it's from Palm Beach Gardens, whether it's from West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Gardens. Today, we have 2 subject matters that are going to be presented, one on a DR Horton application and the other one on an Encompass Hospital application that's also being submitted. And in West Palm Beach, we had great news this past week and a half. We finally have got the money set aside to fully staff our Fire Station 8 and equip it with the appropriate equipment that is necessary. So Mr. Logadice, that's good news from a West Palm Beach and an IBIS point of view, because we've been asking for that ever since the fire station went up. So once again, just to reinforce, we follow projects and try to understand the issues and the facts indicated within the projects, disseminate that information to you, educate all of you, and hopefully you go back to your respective communities and update the board members that you might have in your community. So is everybody in the right meeting? This is not the bowling league. This is not the pickleball league. We're all kind of looking at projects that affect our safety, our security, the environment, the character of the area, economic development, and education. Those are the issues we tend to follow. Okay. I want to acknowledge Victor Martin as well. Victor has volunteered. He is working with the Chamber of Commerce on the subject of resiliency and disaster planning. The Chamber is working with the state to try to put together a plan. The difficulty is trying to do it uniformly or collectively by community. I mean, every community is going to have their own little way. Every municipality is going to have its own approach. So, Victor, we thank you very much for your leadership in that regard. And eventually you can brief us on the status and where things are at and what we need to do to help you. Okay. I also want to acknowledge, we acknowledge Gregg Weiss, but Gregg Weiss had a birthday recently. So where did Gregg go on my screen over here? There he is. Happy birthday, Gregg. 49 again, huh? I'm sorry, 39 again.
Yes, yeah. From your lips to God's ears. Thank you very much, though.
All right, congratulations in that respect. I don't see, Sherlonda Warren, the commissioner here from West Palm Beach. I see Sherlonda's name there. I don't see anyone else. Let me, right now, we don't have any other elected officials that I see and candidates. A couple of candidates have called me, but I said, we're not having a forum. They're more than welcome, but they're going to be postponed here for a while. So with that in mind, let's get into the meeting itself. Do I have a motion for a approval of the minutes from the January 25th meeting. We send those out electronically.
I
We got
move that we approve the minutes of the January meeting.
Great. A second? All the seconds? Great. All the ayes. We're in good shape. Okay, great. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report from January 22nd, January 25th, 2022 meeting, as well as the meeting for today? Do I have a motion?
I will, Victor.
Okay, Victor, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all the ayes?
Aye.
All right, so be it. All the nays, no nays. All right, we're good. All right, so with that, I'd like to let Commissioner Weiss, Gregg Weiss, take his 15 minutes. He's no stranger to the NCNC. He has been before us when we had physical meetings. He is coincidentally now the district commissioner for Iron Horse, Bay Winds, and Ibis that are all part of the NCNC. So we're delighted to be within his district. Not that we're delighted to be out of Commissioner McKinley's district, but Gregg understands us. He's been with us. So Gregg, they're all yours. You got 15 minutes with him.
Well, that's very kind of you. Well, thank you very much, and delighted to be with you all this afternoon, and certainly proud to continue to represent areas within your NCNC geographic area. As Sal said, I have the privilege and honor now of representing Ibis and Iron Horse, and I've been a resident of West Palm Beach since 2004, so familiar with a lot of the issues that emanate or are trying to be addressed in that part of our community, and happy to work together with my fellow county commissioners and city council members to help improve the quality of life for all the folks in Palm Beach County, but obviously directly concerned about the impacts to the constituents that I represent. What I can say for those that don't know me, may not always agree. We may not always have the same philosophy on what the solution is, but I guarantee you always will have a willing ear from me. And I have an open door policy. So if there are things you'd like to discuss, my door is open either for meetings or phone calls, whatever, emails, however you want to communicate with me and the staff that I have working here. I want to make sure you all are aware that we're available to you, and look forward to helping to be there to help address issues and concerns that you may have. I think most of what we're seeing as it impacts this part of the county, a lot of quality of life issues as we're talking about traffic and roadways, about housing and the cost of housing, and addressing these pressing issues. They are on priorities with Palm Beach County, with our board, and I know with a number of the municipal boards in the community as well. So we're all trying to get our wrap our arms around it, if you will. But as we've seen after dealing with COVID the last couple of years, things have been exacerbated in a number of ways. But I will tell you that I stand by, ready, willing to listen. And if you've got suggestions, solutions, even all the better. But I'll take complaints just as well. So, I think what we're looking at directly in the area that I am responsible for, is we're looking at the North Lake Boulevard expansion, or possible expansion, and how that's going to be done, and what the impacts would be, and how do we mitigate for what those impacts are. And so you have a commitment from me that I want to be a part of that dialogue with you all, and how we go about this in a way that provides for some additional capacity, but doesn't detract from the things that you all come to appreciate today. With that, I will mention at our last board meeting, we did give authorization to begin eminent domain proceedings on 11 parcels that are east, I want to say east of Seminole Pratt to Hall Road, and for potential road widening project in that area. So, as you know, eminent domain can take years to go through the court system. So our engineering department, though, has been given the go-ahead to begin that work. With that, I am happy at this point. I mean, I don't have a lot more to report on directly into the NCNC area, but I'm happy to take any questions you all might have and address them if that's okay with you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Greg, let me just explain to the rest of the delegates the significance and importance of having Gregg now as our district commissioner, and we have Maria Marino covering District 1, is when issues and amendments and resolutions are brought before the county commission, irrespective of the district they represent, they all get a chance to vote on whatever it happens to be. So it's important that all of the county commissioners, to some degree or another, understand who we are, what we do, what we're concerned with, so they can make an informed decision when they're on the dais. And obviously, in some cases, hopefully support what our position might happen to be. So, just from a North Lake Boulevard point of view, I met with 4 other commissioners over the last month to brief them. And I know we have their support with regards to, we're not going to go to 8 lanes on North Lake Boulevard. 6 lanes, we don't have a problem, but 8 lanes, we had an issue. So I think we thank you, Gregg, for obviously taking that charter as well. And Maria Marino did the same as well, too.
Right.
She stood up for that, and all of the communities along the way wrote letters. So we thank you very much for that support.
Yeah.
All right, let's open it to questions. Any questions for Gregg from anyone? Just either raise your hand electronically or wave in the screen one way or the other.
Hey, Sal, this is David.
Yeah, David.
It would be good, I think, if Gregg gives us a little update and comment on his view on the recent legislative session in Tallahassee, especially as it related to water.
Well, okay, I guess at this point, from what I'm hearing and the reports we're getting is, so the money is coming to, or at least has been, is in appropriations for Palm Beach County. I want to say there's another $65 million for the C51 reservoir, which would be then cell 13, that I believe the Senate has included in their budget. So that obviously has big water implications for us. I think, what I'm hearing right now is the funding for us, they're funding some of our water projects, but not everything. And partly because they're also putting up $100 million in their budget for UF. And so they're saying, well, you've got 165 million going to Palm Beach County now. And so, some other things may have to wait till next year. So I'm at this point, I'm still hopeful, but I'm not at, my expectation is we're not going to get all our water projects funded through the legislature this year because of the fact that they're doing the C51 and what they see is an investment in us in with the UF campus potentially.
Does it still look like they're going to be cutting the budget for the school system as punishment?
My understanding is that they're moving forward with that, and they are going to punish Palm Beach County schools.
So what impact does that have budgetarily on the county as it relates to refunding that?
Well, it won't impact the county because we don't fund the schools. They get that money directly from the state. So if they short them, I mean, their thought is, I mean, at least from my understanding is their thought is they'll punish the administrators, not realizing that they have the administrators have contracts with the school district, and the school district is going to have to fund and pay their salaries regardless. And then it ends up just shorting our students. So.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
thank you, David. Any other questions from anyone else?
Well, you all have my newsletter. I know you put it up on your website, and I think we just updated, but I will, in the chat, I will put in my my contact information, and anybody is welcome to contact me directly on.
I
any
have a
questions.
question, Greg, for you that the TPA, the young lady that's in there, Valerie, is she an interim or has she been appointed to the TPA? As a director?
She is interim. She used to be the deputy at the TPA for a number of years, and she had an opportunity that she thought she grew up in Alaska, and she thought it was an opportunity to get back to her roots, went up there and found out they had a new administration come into the city that eliminated the job that she moved up there to take. So she came back to Palm Beach County, and at the same time, this change was taking place with Nick Urin, and so she put her hat in the ring and has the confidence of our board as our interim, and we are moving forward though with we've hired a firm for a search, but in the meantime, I think everybody's comfortable that the TPA is in good hands for now.
Great. Well, I would appreciate it if you would put a plug in for us, because I intend to call her. I don't know her very candidly, to set up a meeting. Now, given the COVID and the pandemic, we've been doing a lot of things by Zoom, but we will assemble an appropriate number of people here from the NCNC delegation to at least understand where she's going from the viewpoint of the TPA and the process and planning and major projects that might be out this way. So if you could just put a plug and say, hey, you got a bunch of good guys up in the North County, we'd appreciate it.
I'd be happy to do it.
Okay. Anybody else for Greg? Okay, Greg, well, thank you very much. Be safe and enjoy we'll see you in your next birthday coming up.
All right, thanks.
Have a great one. Okay, terrific. All righty. So we have now an organization which has not been on our program for quite some time, but I'm glad we're able to get her on the program. A couple of years ago, we had some issues with the Solid Waste Authority as they were bringing on board their latest and biggest and brightest technology with regards to the incinerator. And I can get an update here from Miss Ortiz, going to present to us the Solid Waste Authority update. You're on mute.
Good
you
afternoon
go.
to everyone. My name is Aurora Ortiz, and it's a pleasure to be here and join you during your NCNC February meeting. I am going to share with you a brief overview of the Solid Waste Authority. I'm going to try to do it as quick as possible. I have to cover 1,300 acres. And that's what our footprint is. That's where our facilities are located. So I am going to ask you to hold your questions for the very end. And if there are any questions that I cannot answer, please email me and I will get our experts to provide you a response through email. So let me start sharing my presentation that I have prepared for you today. And we've titled it, Welcome to Away. Okay, hopefully everyone can see my screen. Thumbs up if you can. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So welcome to Away. Actually should say Solid Waste Authority, but everyone, what they do is they put their garbage or recycling on the curb separately and wish it to go away. So we are the Away, right? We are the Away for your solid waste solutions. And here at the Solid Waste Authority, we have a saying, and it goes just like this. Whether you throw it, you recycle it, or you flush it away, we put your waste to work. And that's what you're going to learn this afternoon, how we manage the county's waste and also how we put it to work for our county. So here's a map of Palm Beach County. I'm sure you're very familiarized with it, right? We are the largest county land-wise within the state of Florida and east of the Mississippi. So here at the Solid Waste Authority, we are a local government agency who is responsible for the disposal of the county's waste. And we were established back in 1975 by the Florida legislature under the Palm Beach County Solid Waste Act. And the Solid Waste Authority is a special dependent district governed by our 7 elected county commissioners for Palm Beach County. However, these county commissioners do act as our SWA board members. So they are the governing board of the Solid Waste Authority. Here on this map, you can see how we have points of interest, and we also have these little orange boxes. Those represent our transfer stations, and our transfer stations are scattered throughout the county to help us transport all of the solid waste that we receive on a daily basis. So let's go in a little bit more detail about how we transport all of that solid waste. Let's see what happens next. But before we go into that, let's talk about our population. Here in Palm Beach County, we have approximately about 1.5 million people living here, but they're not just living here, they're creating some sort of solid waste. Would you like to guess about how much solid waste each person generates each and every single day? Do I hear any numbers? Between 1 and 20. Let's see. Anyone want to take a guess?
15.
15, very, very close. The actual number is 13. So each and every one of us generate approximately 13 pounds of solid waste every single day. So that is about 19.5 million pounds. That's what the solid waste receives each and every single day from Palm Beach County. But just to give you a perspective of what that looks like, so if you take a football field and you fill it completely and you build it about 30 feet high, almost to the very tippy top of the goalpost, that's what 19.5 million pounds looks like. So that's the type of waste that we have to manage in an environmentally safe way, correct? Because we don't want to create any type of negative impact into our environment. So here is our footprint. This is the map that has all of our facilities along North Jog Road. And this is the 1,300 acres that I was talking to you about at the beginning of my presentation. So within our footprints, to help us manage all of that waste, we have our landfill. We have a class 1 and we have a class 3, and we're going to go a little bit more into detail about the different types of landfills that we have here in Palm Beach County. So we have 2 active landfills, and then we have our recovered materials processing facility. Next, we have our home chemical and recycling center, and we also have our biosolids pelletizer, and we have renewable energy 1 and renewable energy number 2. And in addition, we have the 6 transfer stations that we began talking about. So let's break it down a little bit more. So your recycling, well, that is delivered to our recovered materials processing facility. And to make it easy for all of our residents, we provide everyone a yellow and blue recycling bin. And I'm sure you're familiarized with it, and I'm sure that you have a yellow and blue recycling bin at home. So when we recycle correctly, well, we're helping to save natural resources. And as you know, natural resources, well, they are renewable and non-renewable. So, and the only way that we can save natural resources is through recycling. We also manage that waste with our home chemical and recycling centers. So these are the centers that you can drop off any household hazardous waste that you may have free of charge. And within those transfer stations, we do have satellite facilities modeled just like the one that we have here on North Jog Road. So our residents can drop off any of these materials free of charge. And when you dispose of those items correctly, you're helping to keep our waters clean. And then we have renewable energy 1 and 2. These 2 facilities, well, we take Palm Beach County's garbage, we burn it, and turn it into electricity. And then we have our biosolids pelletizer. And that picture, that's correct. And when I said anything that you flush, well, that goes to the wastewater treatment facilities that are separate from the Solid Waste Authority. And we make an eco-friendly fertilizer, with that material. And I'm going to explain to you a little bit more of how we do that. And then our final resource, right? The final place or destination for our solid waste that we want it to go is the landfill, because it's been demonstrated here in Palm Beach County that we don't want another landfill. What we want are renewable energy facilities to help us burn the garbage and make it into electricity, renewable energy. So what happens with an old landfill when it's completely full? Well, we've taken 2 old landfills here in Palm Beach County and we've made them into parks, something that nobody wants, and we've made them into something fun for the community to enjoy. So here is a breakdown of the municipal solid waste that we received in the year 2019. So we received 38.4 of recycling, and then we also landfilled 20.8 of that 19.5 million. And then of course, waste energy, household garbage, we made into electricity 37.3% from that whole number. And then biosolids, well, that was 3.5%. And then home chemical and recycling centers, that was 0.1%. So this number does not show, or the recycling numbers, that is what was processed at in a whole, not just at our facility. So this number also represents anything that was through private haulers that was collected. So like I said, here in Palm Beach County, everyone has a yellow and blue bin. So let's break it down. Let's see what goes in each bin.
Aurora, can I just interrupt you just for a moment? You need to put your mutes on if you're not speaking, because we're getting background noise from someone who's either got family members or whatever friends in their home. Would appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so the blue gets any container that held a food or a liquid. And also the yellow gets all of your paper products. And here's a full listing. We also have a listing that we provide our residents of items that we do not want in our recycling bins. And the number 1 item, well, of course, you can see are plastic bags. And you're going to learn in just a few moments why we do not want plastic bags in our recycling. But we have a saying here in the Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County: when you're in doubt, just throw it out and the Solid Waste Authority will make it into renewable energy. So here's a picture of a gentleman that's cutting the plastic bags from our conveyor belts. So we have to do this periodically. And by doing so, well, it's helping us to recycle less, because we have to stop our operations to hand cut these bags, so that way our conveyor belts can process more recycling. And that's what we want to do. We want to recycle as much as possible. I am going to share with you a very quick video of how that process takes place. So this is our star screen. This separates the cardboard from the paper. But as you can see, as it's processing, there are some plastic bags that are going through the line also. You're going to see in just a moment, you're going to see some workers stop the star screen, and they will come and start cutting plastic bags. So that way, star screen could start up again and start processing more. But as you can see, by stopping the operations, well, that means that we're recycling less, and we want to recycle as much as possible. So right now I'm going to introduce you to our recovered materials processing facility. And this is the facility that receives all of Palm Beach County's recyclables. And it's divided into 2, although it's one whole building. So one side of this facility receives all the material you put in your blue recycling bin, and the other side receives everything you put in your yellow recycling bin. Right now, we are looking at the side that receives everything in your yellow recycling bin, which is your paper products. So it's bought from the different transfer stations after it's been collected by the private hauler from the side of your home. And then it's put onto the tipping floor. From the tipping floor, then it is put inside of the facility. Well, we are going to even separate even more. And Of course, we are going to do a negative sort. That means we're going to take out items that should have never been put in with the recycling. So it goes onto the conveyor belt. The conveyor belt brings it into the facility. And you are going to see the people that we have on the line that are removing items that do not belong, that should have never been put in that yellow recycling bin. After that, it goes through the star screen. The star screen separates the cardboard from the paper. The cardboard dances on the top and the paper falls all the way to the bottom. And then after that process, we go through another negative sort to ensure that nothing was missed. Because when we sell our product, we want to make sure that we are selling pure paper or pure cardboard. So this is the trommel. The trommel acts like a salad spinner, and it removes anything that would give it added weights like sand or pebbles. And after it has been cleaned, then we're ready to have it baled. After it's baled, then we have these wires that tie the paper together. So that way the cubes do not come apart in the transportation phase. And then it's sold. So it becomes a commodity. So the companies that purchase the material are the ones that come to the recovered materials processing facility to pick up the items or the commodities that they have purchased. Now the opposite side of this same facility receives everything that you put in your yellow and your blue recycling bin. So you can see it's never mixed, even in the transportation phase. So all the containers that held a food or a liquid are bought from the transfer station by one truck. We're going to call that the blue truck. It arrives to the facility. It has a walking mechanism on the floor that walks the material right off the truck and onto the tipping floor. It's placed on the conveyor belt that conducts it into the facility. And there we have a magnet that will extract all the steel cans. And you can see the magnet working right here. The steel cans then are stored in a special bunker just for the steel cans. And then, of course, we do a negative sort, making sure that items that should have never been placed are taken out. We have the can crusher, the glass crusher, which breaks up the glass, and then the glass is put into a special bunker also. Then we move on to the aluminum cans. The aluminum cans are separated by a system that is called the eddy current. So the eddy current can detect an aluminum can when it's traveling on the conveyor belt, and with a little burst of static electricity, it pushes the can off of the conveyor belt where it falls into a container with its own kind. Then we go on to the plastics. The plastics are separated by our optical sorter. So the optical sorter can read the density of the plastics, and according to their density, they get separated, not with the eddy current, the little static electricity. They are separated with just a little burst of air. So the laser reads the density of the plastic and then gives it a little burst of air and pushes it off to the side where it falls into a bunker with its own kind. Then it gets baled, and then off to the different manufacturers that purchase the material, it goes. So remember, when you are recycling, you're taking something old and making it into something new. So these companies, they purchase Palm Beach County's recyclables and they make it into new items. The Solid Waste Authority, well, what we do is we recover, we collect all of Palm Beach County's recyclables, we further separate them, and after it's separated, then we sell the material. And here we have where it's being loaded onto their trucks and off it goes. So it could go to Palm Beach County, it could go to many other states and even overseas, because we do sell the commodities according to the stock market by the highest bidder, and then off it goes. So the next item that we have is our home chemical and recycling center. So these we are located throughout our transfer stations, and then we have one here in our main facility on North Jog Road on close to 45th Street. And at these facilities, you can dispose of items like propane tank, old paint, used oil, fluorescent light bulbs, electronics, old cell phones, or even the CFL light bulbs that have that squiggly cube on it. All of these items can be dropped off in any one of these centers free of charge.
Aurora, we got about 5 minutes left on your time. I want to make sure the attendees can ask any questions, but I've got one for you. Is the county making any money on its recycling operation?
As far as the revenue that is generating, we do have all of that information up to date on our website. So, and if you need any further information with regards to those numbers, I'll be more than happy to provide those to you.
Okay.
So then we have our renewable energy facilities. We have 2 here in Palm Beach County. This is our newest renewable energy facility built back in 2015. And with these 2 facilities, we take Palm Beach County's garbage, burn it into electricity, and make renewable energy. So with both facilities, we're able to generate enough electricity for our footprint. And also there is another excess electricity that we make that we sell to Florida Power and Light. With both facilities, we are able to sell to Florida Power and Light enough electricity to power up approximately about 70 to 75,000 homes here in Palm Beach County. And by using these 2 facilities, what we are doing is adding more life to our landfill, because really nobody wants a landfill in their backyard. It's been demonstrated here in Palm Beach County when we proposed to build another landfill. So I invite you to come and visit this facility. We are going to have an event that I'm going to show you the dates at the end of this presentation, that you can come and enjoy a self-guided tour of this wonderful facility. This facility, we have VIPs from all over the world come and visit. The tours are free. And if you want a more specialized tour, or even a behind the scenes tour, we can also provide that for you. So this is the greenest renewable energy facility in North America, and we're so proud that it's right here in our backyard.
Great.
So then we have our biosolids facility. And this is just a picture of the end product. This is what we make and sell as an aggregate to companies that use it and make it into an eco-friendly fertilizer. And then we have our landfill, which is where we are estimating that the life of this landfill will be till the year 2054. However, we are going to start a new ash project, and that's estimated to start in the March of 2022. I know that sounds so far away, but that's just next month, isn't it? So we are going to start withdrawing or taking out advanced metal that are within the landfill. And we are going to start with approximately 1,000 tons per day of bottom ash, which we are going to process from renewable energy 1 and 2. And with magnets and the eddy current separators, we're going to remove sub-millimeter fractions of the ferrous and non-ferrous materials. So the Solid Waste Authority's new ash project will help produce an aggregate for building asphalt roads or non-structural concrete, such as for curbs, gutters, and sidewalks. So
Aurora, I've got to, I'm sorry for interrupting, but we're notorious for starting and finishing on time here. You got another minute left. I think you should open it up to questions. Maybe they've got something they want to ask.
I'm going to put it on the slide for the 5K. So that way it shows the date as we're talking and answering questions.
All right, any questions for Aurora from anyone in the audience? Can't see any hands raised. Oh, I got one over here from Jim Levin. Jim, go ahead. Brent Bentry.
Aurora, there's a commonly held belief that recycled products, that there's not a market for them and they end up in the landfill anyhow. Are all of your products sold or do some of them end up in your landfill?
Awesome question. Well, here in Palm Beach County, we're very unique, and it's because of that yellow and blue recycling bin. Because of that separation that we do and additional separation that we do within our facilities with removing items that do not belong. So these manufacturers are looking for this pure product. So we've been successful with the sales of our commodities. And I invite you also to, once we begin our tours with our renewable energy facility, which those are starting next month, and also for the recovered materials processing facility, I invite you to come and see this facility. You can see the process, and you might even be able to witness one of the trucks that come to pick up the material.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, question, Sal.
Go ahead.
What do you do with the plastic? How does a homeowner dispose of the plastic bags we get from the various supermarkets and stores?
Well, there are some residents that use those plastic bags for different things. And once we ask you that once you're completely done using them, well, just put them with your trash. And once they're put in the trash, we can recycle it kind of into renewable energy. So when in doubt, just throw it out.
Okay, so there are stores, Publix takes recyclable plastic. That's where I put the plastic bags and plastic other items. What do they do with it then?
Well, that's another form of recycling, which is okay to do also. And what they do is they have, they're partnered with different other companies that recover those plastic bags and recycle them into new items. But here at the Solid Waste Authority, we do not recover or collect those plastic bags. So refrain from putting them in your recycling bins.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just going to suggest if there are any other questions to send them to me by email and I'll get them to Aurora. We want to stay on time. We've got 3 more speakers. Otherwise, we're going to go way over.
So we want you to recycle right every single day. And the only way we're going to do that is by using our 4 R's, and that's reduce, reuse, recycle, and rethink. Thank you so much for inviting me to talk to you about the Solid Waste Authority. It's been a pleasure meeting every single one of you. And please, any questions, please do forward them. And I invite you to come visit us here at the Solid Waste Authority and learn even more about how we manage all of Palm Beach County solid waste. Thank you again.
Thank you, Aurora. Appreciate your informative presentation. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
thank you.
And I'm assuming we can put this up on the website if you want us, our website.
Yes.
Right. Okay, great. All righty. Our next presenter is no stranger to me. I actually met him almost on his first few days here in West Palm Beach. He's our chief of police in West Palm Beach. And in the headlines in the newspapers, there's been some disturbing news relative to shootings, murders, whatever, homicides. And I spoke with our chief the other day and I said, Frank, if you're not going to speak, please put it on mute. Okay, I said, Frank, why don't you come in and give us an update on what's happening in West Palm Beach with regards to policing actions on some of these shootings and homicides we read about. So Frank, they're all yours.
Well, first of all, thank you, Sal, for inviting me today and giving me this opportunity to have this dialogue. I've been here 2.5 years. And one of the things that kind of was the noted issue that I saw was the open drug sales in our high crime neighborhoods. And when you look at the 100 and I think we have like about 135 unsolved homicides in these areas, is definitely a correlation between open drug sales and the number of shootings in these areas. One of the big challenges that I've also noticed is that we have a large group of people that believe that they should not cooperate with the police when it comes down to these particular incidents. You're at shootings where you have anywhere from 10 to 30 witnesses watching, young people just basically shoot each other and and get involved in this discussion. Their claim is that they fear retaliation, and I do believe retaliation is a legitimate cause for a lot of people, because your perception is a true reality of what you really believe, and especially it's a strong influence in this neighborhood that you would be retaliated against if you were to cooperate with the police. However, I do believe when you look at the retaliation rule, there's one rule that is being followed here in our city that I just personally have never seen before, and that is, you kind of understand someone who sees two individuals, they shoot it out, and they really have no relationship with those individuals, and they recognize that they're two violent individuals that live in your neighborhood, and you say, I'm not going to get involved. And you fear that this person who has a bad reputation may, retaliate against you if you testify against them. But the rule that I've seen here for the last 2.5 years, and the one that I'm kind of shocked by, is when someone's watched like their siblings or their parent get murdered, and one incident, a spouse watching their spouse be murdered, and they refuse to cooperate with the police, and they accept that for what it is. It's not that they fear retaliation to the point that they're going to retaliate against this person, or that person actually does something against them. It's this open void here of, you have an unsolved homicide, and how do we bring closure to this particular family when the family themselves are not really seeking it on their end? What this kind of does is it just drives up crime, and specifically violent crime for us. And that's one of our challenges, and is to reduce violent crime. Obviously, we did this case started about 18 months ago, but the people that were actually involved in the case, to my knowledge, when you look at their histories, I mean, they've been in this particular neighborhood, open drug sales for the last 20 years, in and out of prison on drug, gun charges. And, this time around, well, hopefully we have some solid evidence that's going to put these people away. I just realized that we're being criticized now by a group of people saying that, we're using the RICO statute to basically take these individuals off the street for a long time. I think that when you look at criminal histories and patterns of these individuals, you understand why we utilized it. When you look at the nature of this investigation, which centers around open drug sales, is the underlying part of it, but it's the violent crime that goes with it, that something that should be a concern for everyone, I think, that's resident in our city. So not only have we've, maintained our partnership with our sheriff, who has been very supportive, Rich Bradshaw, and our federal partners, who has definitely stepped up. We got assistance from the Drug Enforcement Administration, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the U.S. Marshals is bringing in resources for us, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Everyone that we've contacted and asked for assistance are standing by our side and helping us to address this concern here in our city. There is some progress, and we had a lieutenant that brought in a crime reduction strategy, that stratified policing, that has 4 or 5 components on it, but one of which is engaging the community and going out to meeting with people in the community and understanding from their perspective, what is it that they see on a daily basis that we can do and partnering with them to keep their neighborhood safe. And those meetings are being held our second, third, and fourth Wednesdays. We targeting the 2 northern neighborhoods in the city, which are the highest crime in the area. We meet them on a monthly basis, and then the south end and the downtown area, we meet every other month. We would definitely like to incorporate something with the West community, and Sal and I've had that discussion. I mean, obviously your crime numbers is not as high as these other areas, but the concerns when you talk about traffic and the hours in which, you know, you see these problems, and where would you like to see enforcement, whether it's traffic or some of the other concerns that you have in your neighborhoods. You know, we need to, I think, have that discussion and make sure that we're providing the services that you're looking for from the police department. So I know I only have about 10 minutes left. Well, 9 minutes now, if I got this correct. So I'm opening it up for questions. Anyone have any questions for me?
I have a question.
Go ahead, George.
Is the West Palm Beach Police understaffed, and how do you recruit and how do you retain?
Yeah, we're currently about 23 positions vacant. Fortunately, 2.5 years ago, we were at the bottom as far as benefits, and it was a big challenge for us to go out and recruit. This last contract, we went from the very bottom in the county to number 2 in the county as far as benefit package. So now we're in the market of recruiting. We got a lot of interest from like the North and East officers. I think we hired like 3 or 4 NYPD officers in the last month or 2. We got about 10 officers currently in the police academy that will probably be trained and available on the road, solo officers in the next 4 to 5 months. And then we're hiring a number of certified officers. So our recruiting efforts has improved since we got a better benefit packet. Now we can compete against others, but still, again, we're down 23 positions, and we're definitely focus on trying to fill them as soon as we can.
Yeah. Frank, in our geography here, we have the county, we have Palm Beach Gardens right across the street from where I live. And many of our roads dissect multiple municipalities. How do you work with, let's take Palm Beach Gardens, for example, with Clint and his team, and previously Steve Stepp and his team and so forth, on providing the services from a policing point of view where you have multiple jurisdictions, and whether it's traffic, or whether it's aggravated assault or whatever you might want to call it, or a theft? Is there any interlocal agreements between the two? Who responds to what? I mean, when we have these geographies that are so close, and you can spit across the street to Palm Beach Gardens.
Right. Well, we're very fortunate. We have a great relationship with Palm Beach Gardens. Obviously, a number of you that live in that area and borderlines with our city. Just to give an example of that relationship, back, I want to say about 1 year ago, we had the protest that pretty much turned into riots downtown on the George Floyd protest. We had one night about pretty close to 6,000 people in downtown West Palm Beach, and about 5,500 or so people were very professional. They just came and they wanted to voice their concerns about George Floyd. And then we had a group of people that wanted to take it to the next level. The next thing you know, they were throwing rocks at us and bottles at us. And obviously we needed some more help. We then had a group of people that came up from Miami and talking about all of our resources kind of were focused on downtown and trying to get control of a crowd that became a rowdy crowd. All of a sudden, you got this group of people trying to break into the stores over at the Outlet Mall. Well, it was Palm Beach Gardens and Riviera Beach Police Department, the sheriff, just a phone call away. I mean, we made the phone calls and they came and they brought us some assistance, and it's definitely our partnership with all those other different agencies that helped us prevail that night when we needed them the most. So I think what I've noticed here in the last 2.5 years, we have a great relationship with the law enforcement professionals throughout this county. I think that, our sheriff, who I have an utmost respect for, is doing an amazing job as our sheriff. And every time we called upon him and the other chiefs in the areas for assistance, they've always been willing to give us their help in hand.
Any questions from anyone in the audience? Yes, Michael Mallow. You're on mute.
Yes, officer, I noticed one of our adjacent communities has initiated license plate readers. And I wondered if that's something that you're considering. And also, could you update us on the use of cameras with your officers?
Well, yeah, we have a number of license plate readers in our high crime areas with video. And the interesting thing, I came from Fort Lauderdale that didn't have the body camera. And West Palm Beach, to my knowledge, was one of the first agencies, either the first or second agency in Palm Beach County to have body worn cameras. If you followed that debate on body worn cameras, it was, the police technically didn't have the legal authority to go out and videotape and record someone who was not a target in a criminal investigation. So when you did that prior to the new law that allowed the police to do it, you were actually taking a chance. And I think West Palm Beach back then, their leadership took a chance, and they were the second one to actually have the body camera program here in the city. And for what I've noticed, I mean, this is a good tool. I think it's interesting when people come in and they have a complaint and they say, hey, this is what was said, and we can tell exactly what was said because we can go back to the camera. Sometimes, that works in our favor, and sometimes it doesn't. But I think we get a true account as to who did what and what was said, and it helps us when it comes to not only, responding to complaints, but training issues. If we have officers that, deficient in training, something we can pick up and that we can help train them and make them better officers on the street.
Thank you.
So,
Last question, if there is one. Go ahead, Gary.
I just want to follow up on Sal's question about how you have the relationship with the other jurisdictions to see who can help each other during an event, just in a day-to-day operation. Something happens on North Lake. Is it Palm Beach Gardens? Is it the sheriff? Is it the city of West Palm? How do you coordinate that?
Well, I think that's an interesting one because it's sort of like a cookie cut area there, because you got part West Palm, part Palm Beach Gardens, and then you got some of the unincorporated area. But, we have a system in place, and we communicate frequently with each other. And I got to tell you, Gary, it's a great relationship, and it works very well. I don't see any issues with it.
Okay, well, Chief, Frank, thank you very much. As they say, be safe, obviously, out there as you walk the streets. I know that Frank tells me that he walks the street of Tamarin every morning and looks at the bad guys right in the eye and tells them, I'm watching you. That's what he says. So appreciate that. Be safe out there. We appreciate your service. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next presenter, Sharon Merchant, is the president of Merchant Strategies. And she had asked for time. There's a project on PGA Boulevard and right next to Ballin Isle. And she wanted to give her perspective. Pat Rideau from Ballin Isle last month gave her perspective, her presentations. Alan, I sent you a note. I don't know if you ever got concurrence to put that presentation up on the website that she was going to get back to me, but I never heard back from her. So if maybe you can follow up on that, I would appreciate that. Okay, we're willing to put it up on the website if you want from a Ballin Isle point of view. All right, Sharon, they're all yours.
Okay, can I share my screen, Camille? Sure.
Muted. Yes, you can.
Okay, great. All right, thank you, Sal, for the opportunity. And can I just add, thank you, Chief. I know he does a great job for us. Okay, so I wanted to just give you a brief overview of the Encompass Development Project that's been proposed, as Sal mentioned, in Palm Beach Gardens. And also on the phone, with me, on the line today is George Gentile, just in case there's anything that I can't respond to. This is the project team for this. On the left, you'll see the Encompass Health folks. And on the right, Adam and George and I are the local consultants. So Encompass is a very large brand. They're always looking for the best locations, and they've identified a need in the Gardens area. The closest facility right now is in Stewart. And this is proposed to be a single-story structure. It is for 50 rooms. At maximum, it will expand to 80 private rooms. And this is for people with neurological problems, brain injuries, hip fractures, and things of that nature. Once they get out of the hospital, if a patient needs another week or two to get back on their feet, that's the purpose of this type facility. As you can see, there are a lot of them. They are the largest owner and operator of inpatient rehabilitation and healthcare facilities. And as I noted earlier, these are the common reasons why a person might have a short stay. Again, average stay is a week to 2 weeks, and it is for recovering after you've been discharged from the hospital before you go home. They do intensive therapy, so 3 hours a day. That's typically 3 one-hour sessions. And they have all of the appropriate medical folks there on site. Just depicting again where we are in Florida. The average wage first year is anticipated to be $71,000. So these are nice high wage jobs that would be brought to our area. And in the boxes, you can see the type of professionals that you would find at one of the facilities. I mentioned that it would be 50 beds and it would, at maximum would grow to 80 beds, 1 story. We are hoping, these slides were created some time ago. We are hoping for second quarter 2022 for groundbreaking and to open in second quarter of 2023. This slide depicts in yellow where the proposed site is. And this slide shows those things that are in proximity to that site. So I don't know why it's not coming up all the way with all of the notes, but this arrow is the turnpike. This is the Ballin Isles maintenance facility here. This is the golf course back here. And for reference, this is the driveway, Ballin Isles Drive. Oh, I see, I needed to click more. George usually does these, so please forgive me. Let's see, move this out of the way. Okay, so you can see proximity to things that are in that area. Now it's not wanting to move. Okay, there we go. So this is what the layout of this would look like. This wing here on the left would be at build out. That would be phase 2 for the other 30 beds. This is for the 50 beds right here. This is PGA Boulevard here to give you reference, and Ballin Isles Drive. Okay, and this is a little bit better picture of it. You can see that it's got a lot of greenery around it. It's heavily landscaped and will be almost not visible from PGA Boulevard. These are some of the elevations, so that you can see it will be one story. This is the front. As you know, there are meandering sidewalks now. Again, there will be design elements and there will be enough green element that you are not going to see much of the building at all. Okay, 15. This is facing Ballin Isles Drive. This is what you might see. This is on the west side. This is where the maintenance facility is, probably over here somewhere. If you were playing on the golf course in the hole right behind, this little area right here is about all you could potentially see. And that's only until these trees grow a tiny bit taller and you wouldn't be able to see anything. These are similar facilities that they have built recently. This is a sample of what their gym looks like. This is the kitchen where if you are rehabbing, they might reacquaint you with working in the kitchen while they're getting you back on your feet. This is the reception area and a waiting area in the front. All of the rooms are private. This is a typical room. These are also typical pictures from areas where you might work on different skills. These are outside. They do have an area outside so that you can practice walking on different terrain while you're getting your gait back together. And that's it. I went through it quickly because I wanted to be respectful of your time. I would add that the staff hours, I should have said this earlier, the staff hours are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. They're 12-hour shifts. So it will not add to morning traffic nor evening traffic. And I think with that, I will stop and ask for questions. And if I miss anything, George, please speak up.
Yeah, Sharon, I assume we can put your presentation up on the NCNC website
Certainly.
under topics of interest. And Alan, if you could follow up with Pat, I would appreciate it to know what she needs to do. All right, any questions for Sharon from anybody in the audience?
Sal, this is David. I have one.
Go ahead.
I'd like to understand. So last month we heard from Ballin Isles that they object to this facility. And have you come to some reconciliation with them as to, I gather the whole debate's where the entrance is?
Our team has continued to meet with Ballin Isles and they would like to continue meeting with them. And we'd love to negotiate some kind of happy medium with them. We're very open to that. Whatever that might look like.
But can you explain, is what I said true, that the major objection is not the facility, but the fact that its egress is onto Ballin Isles Drive?
Well,
Or is there other questions?
Well, I have heard a statement. In fact, last meeting, Pat said that she was concerned about traffic, although
there is no traffic.
There will not be much traffic. I don't fully understand all of their concerns, but I'm not the one that has been negotiating with them. I guess they are concerned about us using Ballin Isles Drive, but we are willing to work that out with them in whatever manner, we can.
George, did you want to say something? You're on mute, George. Okay. Nope. Your sound's not coming across.
He's not saying anything.
Sal?
No, there's
No question.
Okay.
Sal, question.
John Peisinger.
Yeah, John Peisinger. John.
It's my understanding that your proposal requires a zoning change. Can you update us?
Can you all hear me now?
Yes, George, we have a gentleman from Marisol that's he's
Yeah, I
asking.
confirm. Yes, we are required to do a comprehensive plan change as well as a zoning change to meet that comp plan designation. While the land use plan for the city of Palm Beach Gardens allows medical facilities in most of their code areas, This one, by us changing it, we'll restrict it to specifically institutional facilities. And also, the client is willing to restrict this just to a hospital use, which is what they're proposing. Just very quickly, we are proposing or have proposed to put another lane in strictly for right turn into the facility. You have to understand this piece of property has no ability to have access on PGA Boulevard. Whatever goes here will have access on Bale and Isles Drive because the DOT is expanding the turnpike interchange, which is also going to make it very difficult for residents to live here. But it will, we are going to put a separate lane to turn into this project. And as Sharon indicated, 7 to 7 is the shift. So everybody has to be at work by 7 o'clock. And they don't leave until in the evening at 7. That's when the shift changes. So, which is good. And the client is also willing to make sure that that doesn't impact anybody. Average age here will be in the 70s. I'm looking forward to it, hopefully, as I'm close to that age. And
I hope you don't need it, George.
you need knee replacement, and this is what it's for. It's for people who are needing hip replacements, knee replacements, neurological issues, back issues, and this is to get them back. Palm Beach Gardens Hospital, Teresa Earhart made several commentaries in regards to they send their patients to Encompass in Stewart now, so they're not able to be here in the north end of the county with their families. They need to go to Stewart. So
I've dialogued with Teresa. I know where she's at, and you guys.
yeah.
Does that answer your question, John?
He's muted again.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you got your question answered? Okay, David, go ahead.
So with staff and visitors, what do you expect the traffic load daily to be into the facility and out? Because it doesn't sound like there's a lot of rooms and a huge staff. So
well, there's going to be 80 patients who are not driving to the facility, and they'll be at build out with 2 shifts. Yeah, so you have to understand everybody won't be there at the same time. They have about 150 employees. Some of those employees work remotely. They do not work in the facility, so they won't be coming here. So when people come in, there will be visitors. We acknowledge that there definitely will be visitors. If your family member was in there, you would want to see them, but it will be limited because, as Sharon indicated, they have to do 3 1 full hour therapy sessions a day. Where they cannot have family members there while they're going through therapy. So it is limited. And once the staff gets in, everybody's there. So.
okay, thank you.
Last question for either Sharon or George from anyone in the audience.
Yeah, how many parking spots are being planned?
166 spaces, I believe. Yes. And that will be all put in initially, so they don't have to rebuild any parking lot, and then they will build the wing that Sharon said as second phase.
Okay. That'll do it.
Now, there's a
Joe
project
Marr
website.
just raised his hand. You're muted, Joe.
Ray Marr, go ahead, Ray. I know it's Ray.
Yeah.
You're on mute, Ray. You're on mute, Ray.
Press the space bar.
All right, send me your question in an email. We'll get it to Sharon, obviously, or to George.
We
Last
can
comment,
happy to
Sharon.
respond.
Last comment.
Just wanted to also add that there is a project website, www.encompasshealthpbg.com. So we've got lots of information on that. Please feel free to access that or email me with any questions you may have.
When do you expect this is going in front of the council?
We just made our 3rd resubmittal today to the City of Palm Beach Gardens. I would not anticipate this getting to the gardens before May or June.
Okay. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, George. Okay, appreciate it. If you have questions, just shoot them to me. I'll get them to Sharon. She'll be responsive, I'm sure. Okay, Our next presenter and our last presenter of the day is, many of you may think, what do we do during the course of the week from an NCNC point of view? Well, we do a lot of things. And one of them in particular is attending meetings by communities who are wrestling with particular projects and issues. And last Wednesday evening over at the Palm Beach Gardens golf course at their clubhouse, there was a meeting brought together by our next presenter, Renee Marie Stefano, who's from Rustic Lakes, which is also in Palm Beach Gardens. And the subject is, there's a proposed development of approximately 228 townhouses right out in front of North Lake Boulevard to our east and to our west from an IBIS point of view, but they've been on the lead on this. So I'm going to turn it over to Renee. She's a retired attorney and now working with her husband in international healthcare consulting. And she led the discussion and presentation last Wednesday evening. So Renee, they're all yours.
Thank you, Sal, and thanks for Camille for coordinating this. I know I'm the last speaker between you and wrapping up your day or seeing your family, so I'm going to go a little bit quickly. Camille, can I share my screen?
Yes, you can.
Okay. I want to start just first, just giving you a little bit of perspective of what we're talking about using Google Earth. So in this depiction, you'll see 112th Terrace North and North Lake Boulevard. And all the way around, you see that there's wildlife area, and our communities in here is really what I'm going to be talking about. So I want to give you that perspective first. Sharing my other screen. Okay, this presentation we created through endhighdensity.com, which essentially it's a grassroots group of residents in the western corridor of North Lake area. We're particularly concerned about preserving quality of life and smart growth in the region. I am the president of Rustic Lakes Property Owners Association. I've been out here for 17 years and I've been on the board for the last 15 of those years. So we've definitely kept on top of all the development that has been emerging, and just to say we are for development. We understand that the area is growing and we are for the smart growth of the region to develop both residential and commercial properties in a way that meets the needs of the existing and new communities. But we are particularly concerned about certain areas. One of those is traffic, and the other is development of projects that are just not aligned with the existing communities and that may negatively impact the communities. So I've just been asked, since this is the first time I understand this has been put on your agenda, I want to just give you an overview of these two projects. They are two projects. One is called Vintage Oaks. The other is called Vintage Crossing. These projects have been submitted by the property owners alongside of DR Horton, who is the residential real estate developer that has made the proposals for these. And as you can see, where these are located, it's located directly abutting Rustic Lakes, which is this entire area here. It's located next to Bay Hill Estates, across the street from Ancient Trees, Sandhill Crane Golf Course, Osprey Isles, next to Ibis and Carlton Oaks. So when Sal was talking about the meeting that we had last Wednesday, we did bring together several of the board members from each of these communities to vocalize their concerns. And the information and some of the concerns I'm going to summarize here tonight. And then, of course, obviously, I want to give opportunity for questions. This first property here, Vintage Oaks, is the active one. By active, I mean it is currently under review and consideration by the city. It is owned by North Lake 20 LLC, and it is on the western side of this road, 112th Terrace, which is a road it's a private road owned by Rustic Lakes that goes right down the center of the community. Rustic Lakes is about 365 acres with only 65 parcels in it. So all the homes are 2.5 to 10 acre parcels. This particular property, Vintage Oaks, was rezoned 10 years ago from agricultural to a limited commercial, multi-use professional development, but also a limited use with the site plan that was approved for medical professional offices. It covers 17.89 acres, and the proposal includes 148 townhomes. Vintage Crossing is the one across the way. It is a smaller lot of 9.8 acres with a proposal to construct 79 townhomes. Between these two properties, there's over 800 parking spaces that are in there. And clearly this is a high density. What's being sought is specifically an amendment to the comprehensive map, the future land use map, the zoning map, change and extension of the growth boundary. So the requested rezoning is essentially to high density residential. To give you a little perspective, Ancient Tree is 1 home per acre. Bay Hill Estates is 1 home per acre to 2.5 acres. And Rustic Lakes is 1 home per 2.5 to 10 acres. This second property, Vintage Crossing, it was rejected as insufficient initially. The properties the proposals and the site plans actually mirror each other. And so DR Horton is essentially pushing through the Vintage Oaks process to address the City of Palm Beach Gardens concerns, which were 171 comments that they had concerning this development. And once they perfect the concerns here, they essentially are going to just replicate the type of development over here. Whether both of those will be submitted at the same time for approval by the City of Palm Beach Gardens is unclear. Some of the primary considerations are compatibility with the area. The entire area is low to very low density of communities, so high or even mid-density residential is not consistent. This has also been referred to as spot zoning because of the extension of the urban growth boundary for just this particular area. The accessibility is a concern. I'll go into that. Traffic and public safety. Some of the policies are inconsistent, and there have been some intimations through the application that these projects could be used for workforce housing, although no credits have been applied for. So I want to just remind you here is what we're talking about. These lots, these 2 lots here, and how it relates to the entirety of Rustic Lakes. And then this is Bay Hill, and this is the preserve at Bay Hill, and this is Ibis. So if you look visually of putting in 228 townhomes embedded just in this area here, it is not consistent with the adjacent area. That, of course, is concerning. We have taken a look at what the proposal is for the design of these units. This is what is being proposed in terms of design. And this is the site plan that has initially been filed. So currently there's nothing in the Western North Lake corridor that is resembling this type of development plan. You'll see while I'm here, I'll show you there is, as it's been filed and applied for, there is an entrance onto North Lake Boulevard here. And there's a proposed second entrance onto Old Bay Hill Drive, which is located here, and it's a private road owned by Bay Hill Estates. And Bay Hill Estates has not provided and does not intend to at this time provide any access there. This is 112th Terrace, which is the primary thoroughfare and entry to Rustic Lakes community that's privately owned by Rustic Lakes that does not intend to provide access to it. So this entire development has only one form of ingress and egress right now, right onto North Lake Boulevard. And currently there is not an acceleration or deceleration lane that has been planned into the site plan. This is the property on the east side, the Vintage Crossing, and you'll see similar concerns. There is an entry onto North Lake, only one, and the same problem exists as there on the other side of 112 Terrace with no entrance. I think it's worth looking at the history of these properties, because the issue now is, okay, it was rezoned back in 2010 and nothing's really been done with it. So it went from an agricultural zoning to MUPD and agricultural residential. And this was in 2010. Nothing has been done with the property since then. Now, the difference between these two types of development as planned and the site plans that have been submitted is that the two medical office buildings that were planned were 42,000 square feet of building. The new project encompasses 329 square feet of building. And to be transparent, Rustic Lakes realized that this area was going to develop and that we were going to support it. We also realized that we were going to be seriously impacted by it. So we negotiated an agreement that was signed that runs with the land in 2010 that provides the types of buffers that we feel were necessary for this medical office building development as presented back then. It also included an option for us at the time to be able to redesign and configure our entrance to provide a buffer and financial remuneration for that. And Rustic Lakes has not received the payment on that. So North Lake 20 has not been a very good neighbor for Rustic Lakes to date, and is now seeking to rezone the property with another project that is really not aligned with the support that was provided before. My understanding is also that Bay Hill Estates has agreed to take stormwater in exchange for financial remuneration, and they have not received that either. So we're right now we're looking at an entirely new proposal of collaboration, and the DR Horton filed these applications without communicating with any of the communities. Rustic Lakes had its first meeting with DR Horton last Friday to enter discussions about fulfilling the responsibilities. But that is just at the beginning. DR Horton plans to submit these to City of Palm Beach Gardens for approval in April. So there's not a lot of time, and there has not been a lot of information provided to the communities, which is exactly why anti-density worked to bring together the communities to share information and engage people in understanding how this will impact them. The other project, Vintage Crossing, the difference was a 52,000 square feet of building and 169 square feet that's now being proposed. For spot zoning, just real quickly, and these slides will be put up on the website so you could dive into them easier. It's just an example of what I gave you. The adjacent communities are not aligned. They're rural residential, residential low, very low. And then we have accessibility issues, the ingress and egress. You'll see here the yellow lines are where the ingress and egress, the new traffic will come from these townhomes and presumably during high demand areas, rush hour times, etc. So traffic and public safety is one of our biggest concerns. Obviously, the State Road 7 expansion project, once that will go through, will provide some relief. But if anybody has been in the Western North Lake area when there has been an accident, and certainly during rush hour time, it's jammed. From the Rustic Lakes perspective, trying to get it out of our community is very, very challenging. School buses are always challenged to stop and pick up the kids. And the impact of Avenir with 300,000 residents that will be coming in and out is also not being considered during the approval process of these projects. So we also are very concerned about acceleration and deceleration. There's not a lot of room to get in and out of those communities, and it doesn't seem to be currently a priority for DR Horton. There's also another big issue that is of concern. There is a disputed area that encompasses a total of 2 acres on the southern boundaries of the Vintage Oaks and the Vintage Crossing that impacts Rustic Lakes. Currently, North Lake 20 has a lawsuit against one of the residents of Rustic Lakes alleging 50 feet into the residents' property along their northern border, the southern border of the Vintage Oaks property. If that lawsuit were in favor of, went in favor of North Lake 20, that would impact 9 residents across the entire northern border of Rustic Lakes, which would require Rustic Lakes to potentially relocate its gate, and residents losing 50 feet of property along their northern boundaries. Why is that even more important is there is a drainage for a ditch on our entire community that that impacts our flow and our ability to pump water out of our community. So it's particularly concerning for Rustic Lakes for drainage issues that have yet to be resolved.
Renee, can you wrap it up? Renee,
Yep.
can you wrap it up? Okay.
Sure. The revised application process that we anticipate for DR Horton to address all the concerns of the city of Palm Beach Gardens to potentially a medium density doesn't address the primary concerns that are raised by the applications. And currently there are, through NCNC.com, over 350 petitions have been signed. And this is the beginning of the residents in the community becoming aware of this. So as it's coming up for potential approval in April, we have to stay on top of it and see how it's going to be handled. So with
Great.
that, thank you very much for your time. This is an area of the petitions.
Thank you,
where
Renee.
everybody has
It
signed.
was a very informative presentation, and we had a good discussion at the meeting last Wednesday. So hopefully this is not the last time we get a chance to interface with Rustic Lakes from an NCNC point of view. And I hope you guys consider joining the NCNC. I think it's an invaluable organization, and it's proven to many of the communities that we can provide value to their residents and address those issues that we talked about with regards to safety and security and the environment and so forth. So thank you, Renee, and
Thank you.
good luck as you proceed. I was in touch with Palm Beach Gardens today. They are very well aware of this project, obviously, and assured me they will keep me posted if in fact something shows up on the radar screen that we're not aware of. So, I will let you know if I hear anything from that point of view. Okay, we're going to wrap here. I think just a couple of items. March the 22nd is our next NCNC meeting, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd appreciate it if you would send me and or Camille an email with any topics of interest that you think should be covered that we either haven't covered or want to recover again and so forth. These programs are designed, like I say, we follow projects and their issues. One of the things I'd like to bring on board next is FDOT to talk about a number of projects that they've got to obviously educate you all on what they're planning right in our own community and our areas. Okay, with that, anybody got any burning issue they want to bring up before I say adjourn? All right, be safe, guys. We'll talk again. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, presenters, for your presentations. Appreciate it. Very informative, very thoughtful. I'm assuming, Renee, we can put your presentation up on our website? Or Kat, did you get that? Okay, we're good. All right,
Yes, you
guys.
can. Yep.
Okay, good night. Take care, guys. Be safe.